Thank you for joining Oh Sis Tread Lightly podcast. This is your girl, Dr. Nina, and I'm so glad that you are joining us today. We have a special guest. I'm so excited to just talk with her, introduce her to you all. I feel like she's going to be such a blessing and a delight to have on today. And if you haven't already, please go check us out on Oh Sis Tread Lightly podcast. And we have so many other episodes that you can view and listen to that we hope will be inspiring to you. But with no other further talk, I have our Dr. Nancy here with us today. And she has been such an inspiration, always supported who I have been and who I'm becoming. And I really appreciate her always speaking into my life and allowing me to participate in everything that she does. Basically, she is such an inspiration to young women in general, and just people in general. She really sees the light in us and she's able to speak into that and really promote what we're trying to do. So I always appreciate her for being who she is. But I'll let her tell us a little bit about herself. Dr. Nancy, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, we come from the same hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana, so our roots start there. Our fathers are both in ministry, so we
Yeah.
have that in common as well.
Yes.
And I moved to Atlanta many years ago. And what I tell people, I'm a marketplace evangelist. I evangelize Jesus in the marketplace as an ordained minister, as a executive coach, or as I'm calling it now, transitional strategist, because I help people transition to the next level. And as a talk show host, as a woman who does women's conferences, I am just blessed and highly favored. And I love what I do. I've been doing it for 29 years, full time as an entrepreneur. So I've learned a lot of lessons, some the hard way,
Yeah.
some the
Yeah.
easy way. But I share that as I coach with young women or even people that are seasoned. I'm always willing to share the lessons that I've learned, because you don't need to make the same mistakes I made. There's enough new ones to be made. So I get a chance to train with organizations around emotional intelligence, leadership skills, communications. Again, taking Jesus into the marketplace in a way that sometimes people don't even know they've experienced that, but they have experienced that, because my platform is my faith. So
Yeah.
I love what I do. I wake up every day excited because I get to do what I love. I mean, it's amazing to do what you love and to be able to transform people's lives by the gifts God has placed inside of you. So things I do with you and other people, it's simply God is just downloading stuff, and I just do. I say what He tells me to say, and I love what I do. Seeing the transition and seeing people
Yes.
transform is just amazing. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. So thank you, Dr. Nina, for having me.
Of course, of course. So I'm going to ask our opening question today. When you hear the word purpose, what comes to mind for you today?
That you're actually walking what God has called you to walk in. That is, when you think about purpose, it's aligned with what God's will is for your life. And sometimes we find that sooner than later. But I tell people, if you love what you do and it's not work for you, when your purpose and your passion connect, you walk in your destiny.
Very true. Yeah.
So, and when you're in your purpose, it's not work for you. It's what God has called you to. You do it with sweatless victory.
Yes, I like that. Sweatless victory. Yes, yes. And I think too sometimes I think it builds confidence, right, in who we are becoming, because a lot of times we hear purpose and a lot of people feel so disassociated from that. Like, how do I start? Where do I begin? And a lot of times purpose can be such a scary word. But when you're in alignment with what God wants you to do, you just get there effortlessly. When you're obedient to His voice and His word, it's just like you just kind of fall up upon it. You're just like, oh, I'm here already.
You said a key word. You said obedience.
Yes.
Many times God will tell you to do things that don't make sense to you. And because it doesn't make sense to your mind, you don't do it. God's ways are harder than our ways. His thoughts are harder than our thoughts. And I tell people, sometimes you have to disconnect from people sometimes that are in your network, because where you're going, they can't go.
Yes. Yes. I had to learn that lesson this year. It was a hard lesson to learn. Because you don't, and I think I was telling someone the other day, I have a hard time leaving people behind. Like, if I feel like I'm leaving you behind, I like cling on to you because I'm like, no, you haven't done anything to me. Like, but it's just some people come in your life for a season, right? And so you have to understand that in order for you to excel, some people can't go with you.
And you have to be okay with that, because I had a friend once who was like you. She had a program. People paid at the beginning of the year to be a part of her program. They paid for the entire year. And every month she provided them with tools and resources and workshops and stuff, and they weren't coming.
Mm,
And she was sending out messages to them, hey, we're doing this again. This, you paid for this. And they weren't coming. They just were not signing up. And she called me and said, I just don't understand. I'm upset. I'm like, what part of this do I not understand? They paid you, right? They have no, this is part of their offerings, what they get. You send it out to them, remind them several times. They don't come. I say, I tell you what, you're trying to bring a semi truck upstream by yourself. If you continue being frustrated by this, I said, you're not going to reach your destiny. And they
Right.
don't care about reaching theirs, obviously. So I
Right.
said, you can continue to do that. I said, but that is just not, that doesn't make sense to me. They paid you. So they don't want to take advantage of what you've offered. Shame on them. So
Right.
she basically, it was, she's like, okay, well, I guess. But then she let go. And then she got promoted to a job, the first woman of color in a position no one had ever had before. But she let them go.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's what happens.
So when you're an eagle, eagles fly sometimes alone. And you can't take turkeys with you.
Oh, I like that.
So I'm just saying, sometimes you got to look at your tribe or your squad or whoever's around you, because sometimes where you're headed, they're not headed, and there's no judgment. It's just that where you're going, you're in two different. Your season with that person has changed, and sometimes it's a redirection that God is giving you.
Right. Right. So very true. So our next question is, did you always know what your purpose was, or did it unfold over time?
Well, I would have to say, probably not knowing totally I was going to be speaking because I wanted to be a professional model.
Okay.
And so my mom said, you need a degree. You need what happens when you get older, blah, 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 blah. So you're influenced by that. So I got a healthcare degree. But I realized in healthcare, what I was doing, it was, you always have a job, all that good stuff. But I just found it was not rewarding for me. It wasn't satisfying. And it didn't challenge me. And it was kind of like you did the same thing day after day after day. So I was always one who liked to learn. So I was always looking at other things to see, what can I learn? And so I realized early on that I had a gift for being able to engage and talk to people, and people they felt comfortable talking to me about everything, literally.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was like the dear Abby, you call, you need some advice, okay, call Nancy. So in college I did that, and so I realized God had given me a gift to be able to converse with people, and so I got an opportunity when I lived in New Jersey for a couple of years to take the Dale Carnegie course. And in
Okay.
taking the course, it was like it was life changing because it helped me to see, okay, here's something that I think I really want to do. So I came back to Atlanta and I got certified to become a Dale Carnegie instructor. And I taught public speaking for like 13 years part time. And people keep saying, you have a gift. You're just really good at this. You should start your own business. I said, God hasn't told me to do that. God hasn't told me to do that. So, I was doing stuff on the sidelines when I had jobs, doing speaking engagements and stuff. And I realized this, I really like this. And so I said, I began to search it out more intensely. And an opportunity came where I went for an interview and they said, we're looking for some facilitators for like 6 months to work with us. But then at the end of the 6 months, it ends. And they said, you have a full-time job. I said, yes, but if you hire me, then I won't. I said, whatever God wants to do. I said, if it's will, fine. If not, I'll just keep looking. They called me and said, we want you to be on the team. And that
Wow.
began my journey. So
Wow.
I always knew I had a gift for I was never shy being in front of people. Did I know I was going to become a speaker? No, I thought I would have been a model. But, I'm still in front of people, modeling clothes anyway. I had a
Right.
gift for that. So I'm just very grateful for what God has given me and the ability to really help. Because I tell people, it's His gift this inside of me. He gets the glory for everything. He
Yeah,
downloads, and I just tell people what He tells me to tell them. Sometimes it's hard messages for them, but if you follow what I'm giving you, your life will change because it's coming from God.
exactly.
So I
Totally.
didn't know necessarily this is a path, but He has His ways are angular, not linear. So He got me to where He wanted me to be.
Yes, I love that. I so love that. Next question is, was there a moment you felt like you missed your window, and how did you process that?
No, I don't think there's never a time where I thought I missed my window, because I just realized that every day you wake up is a gift. It's called the present for a reason. So every day you wake up, as my pastor says, your today is greater than your yesterday. There's a
Yeah.
purpose for you.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think that. I just think that you evolve. I think what happens is that we evolve, and we realize sometimes as we mature, there are things that we no longer are willing to settle for or tolerate, and so things fall off.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
don't think you're ever too late. You think about Moses when he went to deliver the children; he was 80.
Mhm.
You look at Abraham when he had the promised son; he was 100. So we
Mhm.
see that again. I think sometimes we get caught up into numbers, but you can be old at 19,
Mhm.
and you can be alive, and you can be 60. It's all in a
Mhm.
matter of just realizing God has a purpose for you, has a plan for you. And I think the important thing is, how can I be a blessing to other people? How can I pour into other people? And as long as I'm doing that, there is a purpose for being here. There's a reason, and God has given us a reason for it. All of us. We have a reason for being here. We have a purpose. Each purpose is different, but you decide if it's too late. That's you.
Right.
Never stop learning. You should never stop growing because you never stop learning.
Right, right. I think you said it, mindset is so important because a lot of
Yes.
people miss out on opportunities because of their mindset. Not that the window wasn't there and not that you would have missed it, but it's the fact that you didn't believe. You didn't see it for what it was. And nobody else can convince you of that. You have to be able to not miss the window by seeing exactly what it is.
And then you
So,
sometimes begin to talk to other people, so hey, and because they're not where you are, sometimes they can't see. You can't see the frame when you're in the picture. And sometimes people around you, sometimes they don't have the same lens of how they're looking at things, and they will have you going down a different path or saying you can't do that because you realize where you come from. You realize all these different things that has nothing to do with God.
exactly. Exactly.
So you have to be
Exactly.
careful who you listen to, who's in your ear gate, who's in your eye. What do you see? What do you hear?
Right. So true. So true. So that brings us to our next question. Do you ever feel like you had a low point in your journey, and can you like just explain to us maybe one of the low points you felt like you were at and how you got through it?
Oh, absolutely. They've been on this journey as an entrepreneur. You have those peaks and valleys. That's what you have to realize when you're an entrepreneur. First of all, it's a faith walk.
It
First,
is.
and then secondly, there will be times where you will literally say, "Hey, everything's wonderful. Things are just falling into place. It's a great season." But just know, at some point in time, there will be a season of challenge for you. And so in
Mhm.
2017, probably no, it was 2017 was my toughest year I ever had in business. Literally tough. We talking about tough, 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 tough. It was like, okay, Lord, how did I get it? What is this? What is this? And to a point where I was having to really dictate, where I was going because I was limited on funds and I didn't have a lot of money for gas and different things. So I was really having to really juggle some stuff. And
Mhm.
so one of my friends called me one day and said, "Do you need anything?" And I'm like, "Girl, I'm good." But again, I was not good. But she said, "What do you need?" I said, "I'm good." She said, "This is what she said to me." She said, "Don't let pride keep you from getting what you need." Well, it
Ooh.
was like she hit me in the stomach, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I said, "Yeah, I do need something." And
Mm.
so she said, "What do you need?" And I told her. She said, "Give me your bank account." She said, "This is not a loan. I'm just going to put it in your account." And so what I had to learn in that season, because what me, I was thinking, now I was continuing, I did not complain. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just walked through because you never look like what you're going through.
Right.
And you look like you
Right.
got $1 million and you might have two pennies that you rubbing together. But
Right.
there's an image you have to project. So I was like, hey, everything's looking good. But I was saying to myself, I was like, wow, it's come to this. So I mean, I don't. And so God had to deliver me from
Mhm.
pride, from being willing. He delivered me from pride because I didn't want to ask anybody, say anything. And he delivered me from that. So now I have no problem. But he brought me through it. It was a tough year, but I continue to confess and know that he's a yea, though I walk. No, I was walking through, I was not going to stay there. So I had to continue to confess the word of God no matter what I was seeing. Was it tough? Absolutely. Did I have to pray? Did I have to continue to encourage myself? All of that, yes. And
Yeah.
so the very next year, 2018, was my very best year in business.
Mm.
So from 2017 to a year where it was like, you're like, really kind of like rationing stuff to
Right.
2018, the best year I ever had. So I just tell people when you're going through that season of famine, that season of challenge, be okay with it. People want to pour into you and bless you, accept it. Get out of
Okay.
your pride because our pride, and I didn't know I was in pride till she said that. Then I
Right.
was like, oh, I'm in
Right.
pride.
Right.
So that was a tough season. That was a tough lesson I learned. But now I have no problem receiving. If I need something, I will call people, and
Yeah.
as God leads me to. Because sometimes people, like, she came to me
Mhm.
and said, "What do you need?" And I'm like, she came to me saying, "What do you need?" I'm thinking, I'm good. And she said, "No, what do you need?" I'm like, I'm good. And then she said that thing that just don't let pride keep you from getting what you need. Then that was like, boom, oops, there it is.
Wow. And I think as givers, when you're always giving, it's hard to receive sometimes. Like it's hard to like see your need and say, "Hey, I have a need," because you're so used to giving. It feels different. It feels a little weird. Like I'm so
But you
used to
but
being the
it's
one to give.
pride. And then it's
Right.
pride. And then when you get out of that, I know how to receive. Now I give, I still give, but I know how. Bring it on. I love to receive. Okay, bring it on.
Yes, I love that. So addressing the too late mindset, why do you think so many people struggle with the feeling like it's too late to start over or to start again?
I think because they listen to other people.
Mm.
And they listen to other people who maybe have failed. You think about it, the Bible says a just man falls down 7 times, but he gets back up again. Failure is never final unless you don't get back up.
Ooh.
And sometimes Nelson Mandela said, "You never lose, you win or you learn." So I tell people sometimes when you figure it's too late, why? Who said it's too late? Whose definition or what are you gauging that on? First of all,
Mhm.
because the point is sometimes this may not have been your season. Maybe you stepped out before you were supposed to,
Right.
and maybe you told it. Maybe what happens sometimes is people have a vision or God gives them something that He wants them to do, and they're so excited they begin to tell people why it still
Mm.
isn't in its infancy, where it's still birthing, and many times it's not settled in you. It's not
Mm.
grounded in you, and people say, "You that's too big. You can really you gonna do that?" And so you begin to question yourself. God gave you the vision; He didn't give it to them. So
Right.
sometimes we're sharing things with people before time. And that keeps
Mm.
us from moving forward because you're listening to the naysayers, the people who have maybe they've never done anything. Because you look at
Yeah,
millionaires and
that
billionaires,
part.
you read their stories, they have failed many times and they don't
Right.
quit. So why are you quitting? As they say, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. Which one
Right.
are you? So I tell
Right.
people, you really have to really look at your circle. They said, because they say your network will determine your net worth.
Mm. Mm.
So rich people don't hang around broke people.
Right. That part.
And so again, if you have a poverty mindset, what's going to be your communication? You're going to say, it's too late. You can't do that. I mean, you think about some of the stories, even for the colonel who started the chicken plate. People start stuff late in life. God makes up for lost time.
Yes, he does.
He's an amazing guy. He can do in 1 week what may have taken you 7 years to do because he's God.
Yes.
So when you begin to listen to naysayers or if he gives you the vision, he will give you the provision. You must listen to him and be careful who you share your dreams with. Because dream
Mm.
busters are out there who they don't care about fulfilling dreams and they don't want you to do it either.
Wow. That's good. That's so true. How do you spot those people that are dream busters? Like, how do you, like, what?
So here's how you spot them. I can say, Nina, girl, God gave me this great idea about doing X, Y, Z. He said, if I go over to this place to meet these people, I'm going to be able to get this house, blah, blah. And you say, girl, please. You tried that last year, didn't work. And Susie tried it last week, it didn't work for her. So why are you going to do that? That's when you know, okay, because you get the downer. I call it Debbie Downer,
Mm-hmm.
Toxic Tom, Whining Winnie, whoever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you realize because their conversation, when you say something about what God is doing and what you've been given the unction to do, they will say, Nina, you came from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Girl, please. People from Indiana don't do that. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to walk, you need to run from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
that you don't still love them, but you realize where you're going, they can't go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you continue to listen to them, they will basically, if they may have the
Oh, it looks like we lost her. I'm gonna give it a few seconds. I think the other thing is sometimes we spot people and it's too late, or we've given people a chance because we haven't recognized them in who they really are. And sometimes people can sit and they can pretend to be a part of what you're doing. They can pretend, or they really can be on board until the idea is too big. That's the other thing.
yeah, okay. So we can, because I know something shifted there. So what's your comment? So we go back, hey.
No, no, no. I think that you said something really good about noticing those people who show up that way. I think the other thing is for us to realize some people are on board until the idea is too big, right?
Right.
Because their faith or their understanding that's when you have to know you have to release those people, because I think that's been the issue for me is people are on board until I step out to an idea that seems too big for them.
Mhm.
And then that's when they're the naysayers, like, oh, you're doing that? Oh, that I don't know about that, sis. Like you did this and you did good. Stick with this, right? Don't worry about going to the next level. And I think that is when I feel like I have the problem. It's just like, oh, the idea is too big. And
Mhm.
then their unbelief starts to mingle with what God told me. And
Mhm.
so I've learned in seasons to be quiet. Don't tell everybody your business. Don't tell everybody an
Oh.
idea until God will instruct you. He will tell you, don't tell nobody. You better listen.
Yes, yes. Because the point is, to your point, because many times God has given us stuff to do, and we're so excited. We want to share it with our BFF, people that we think that they do it.
Yes.
Because what God has given you is a God idea. It's the point if
Yes.
you want ideas to be so big that if God doesn't show up, it doesn't happen. If you can do it in your own strength, God's not in it. You want to be so big, and you only grow when you're out of your comfort zone. That's where your faith happens. When you're uncomfortable, that's where the growth takes place. And some people don't want to be uncomfortable. Growth occurs when you're willing to step outside of your CZ. That's where your faith has to become real because you don't know how it's going to work out. But you're
Right.
right. When the dream becomes too big, or now you're on this huge platform. I don't know if that's Linda. That's not who you need to be, girl. You can do this. Why you got to take it to this next level? Because God says to do it.
Mhm.
And at that point, okay, I'm releasing you. Now, you telling you're releasing them, but your conversation with them is different now because a lot of my friends that I've had known for a long time, they know somewhat what I do. But
Mhm.
in reality,
Mhm.
I don't share a lot with them because they can't connect. And it's no fault of their own.
Mhm.
They just can't connect. They're in a different platform, they're in a different place, and people are in your life for seasons, and sometimes their season has expired. And God will
Mhm.
place new people into your life that are
Mhm.
taking you where you want to go, which
Mhm.
is higher.
Yeah. I definitely agree. That was good. That was good. So, when we talking about faith and alignment, what has God taught you about the waiting season?
Ooh, when you're in the waiting season, the one thing I would just tell you when you're in the waiting season, because again, you have the promise, you have the wilderness, then you have the promised land or your breakthrough. And so when you're in the waiting, when you got to say, I'm going to do this for you. This is what's going to happen. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Yes, Lord, thank you. But there is going to be a wilderness. There's going to be a season you've got to walk through where it doesn't necessarily look like the promise is going to come to pass. And
Mm.
God's looking at how you go through that. And during that season, you have to not whine, you have to not
Woo.
complain. Because those are the things we know the children of Israel, when they came through, they whined and they complained, and they did not make it to the promised land. The parents didn't, the children did, but they didn't. So I tell people, what you want to do is basically keep your mouth closed, literally, and just say, God's going to get me through this. Your confession has to be, God will get me through this. He didn't bring me to this to not bring me through. So you have to make sure that you're not whining, not complaining, and just saying, Lord, I know you have me. I don't know how it's going to work out. That is not my business. It is your business, but I know you got me. That has to be your platform. Now you need people around you. I tell people now, your faith tribe around you, so that when you might get weak, they will remind you to stay in that, because if you begin to whine and complain, you're delaying getting to the other side, and you're going to
Yes.
be in the wilderness longer. So I tell people, keep your mouth closed. And if you're not saying something that's focused on what the word of God says, you have to encourage yourself. It's going back, spending time in the word, encouraging yourself, saying, God says he's giving me this. There's no lack in God. God has everything I need. You have to remind yourself of the promises of God during that waiting season.
Yes. So true. I love that. I love that. I don't have anything else to say about that. You did that. So what advice would you give someone in their maybe their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, who feel behind?
Just to, I guess I would say, pray and ask God, God, what is it you've called me to do? Spend some time with God, just alone, where you're away from people, where you said, let God download to you what he wants you to do.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
when he gives you what you're to do, follow what he tells you to do. And don't
Yeah.
tell anybody in that moment. Wait until you have, I tell people, remain silent and let success speak for you.
Ooh, that's good.
Because many times, we're excited about, God, I got this new contract, blah, 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 blah. And if you've not signed the contract yet, but you're putting it out there, everyone's not always happy for your success.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
many times people, you'd be amazed. So I tell people, they say, you don't post a lot about what you're doing. I'm like, no, but I'm getting paid. Best be clear on that. I don't need to post. My clients are happy. I'm happy. So it's a win-win. So it's all good. Now,
Right.
he tells me to post something. I post every now and then. I said I do more inspiration and many things around HR and different topics and things of that nature. But work with my clients, that's really has nothing to do with, that's if he tells me to put it out there, I will. But I tell people, walk silently and let success speak for you. So
Yes.
people who really want God to move in their life, when God gives you instruction, I want you to start this. I want you to do this. You may say, well, I just trust and follow what God tells you to do, because he's waiting for you to take that faith step. When you take the faith step, then everything else falls in line. If you don't take the first step, he said, okay, I need you to take first step, get to first base. And if you don't do that, then what he wants to unfold will not unfold, because you've got to be in faith. He responds to faith only.
Yes. I like that. That's so true. And then faith without works is dead. And I
Yeah.
think the other part is we have to put ourselves in the works position, because a lot of us will wait and keep waiting and waiting. Like, well, God said He was going to do it, but what are you doing in the meantime? How are you aligning yourself with the promise, right? And so I think that's an important piece too, is like alignment, and aligning yourself with God's promise means you doing something. um,
Yes.
and even if it's simply seeking His face every day, spending time with Him, carving out an hour of your day to make sure that you're in alignment, you're hearing from Him, that the direction hasn't changed, is so essential. Because if you don't, then you may miss that moment, you may miss that window, because He might say, well, you know what, I want you to go this direction, and you're like, well, you told me this, and I haven't saw your face in weeks, so I don't know. So that's really good. I like that.
And then we have perfect will and permissive will.
Yes,
And
yes.
so
I
God
talk.
may say, Nina, I want you, like when he told you to start the podcast, when he told me to start the TV show, I'm like, what? Okay, who gonna pay for this? All those things, you're like in your mind and stuff. And we're literally going to our seventh year. And if someone had told me
Wow.
I'd be doing this show for 7 years, my TV show for 7 years, I would say, oh, no, no. Because Nancy's mind was like, no, I don't see how that's gonna happen. But God's taking care of it. So
Yes.
I tell people, I stepped out of the boat and God's done the rest.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
So
So
sometimes we have
what
to get out of the boat. Yes.
exactly? Faith, right? Just
Yes.
trusting. Yes, yes, so true. So what is one small step someone could take this week to reconnect with their purpose?
I think just making a decision that they're going to weekly spend time with God.
Mm,
If you can't do an hour, you can do 15 minutes.
mhm.
Sometimes it's just getting started to say, okay, because you can spend hours, but if your heart is not in the right place, you've just been there. So
Yeah,
God's looking for a heart, but actually just saying, Lord, I don't even know. Basically just saying, Lord, I don't know what you have for me. I don't know what my next step is, but you knew. So I'm just going to lay before you. I'm going to spend time with you, and I'm just going to wait till you download and tell me what I need to do. And when you get quiet, and you spend some time with God, and he sees that you're serious, God will download to you. But if it doesn't make sense to you, don't be weary. Just follow what he tells you to do, even if it doesn't make sense, because God's ways are angular, they're not linear.
right. Right. That's
It's just
good.
it's just getting started, taking those small steps. Like people who want to exercise, I said, don't wait till you can do 45 minutes. Start if you can just do 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Just get started. So I'm telling people, just get started. Begin to maybe buy a leadership book, read a leadership book, begin to learn some new things, emotional intelligence. Those are all things. Begin to become a student of learning.
Yes. Yes. That's good. That's a great mindset to have too. A habit and a mindset is seeking, external knowledge and
Yes.
applying it where it needs to be put, so that you cannot just be in the box with your thinking. Because there's a
Right.
lot of good books out here. There's a lot of good resources that you can use to expand your mind, not just naturally but spiritually as well.
Right.
So
Absolutely. And so people, readers are leaders. And so it's important to
right,
continue to keep your mind stimulated. I have aunts who'll be 99 next year. One of them said, how you keep your mind active. She said, you do puzzles, you read. Those are the things that keep your mind stimulated. She'll be
wow,
99 next year. She said,
wow.
so read to do puzzles, read to so keep your mind stimulated. I tell people, keep your mind stimulated. Continue to learn no matter. You never should stop. You should never stop learning. Period.
Yes, yes,
Never.
I agree. I agree. People say, "Are you going back for another degree?" I am. Sure am. What's wrong? I'm a lifetime learner. What do you want me to do?
That's even if you don't necessarily go to a academic institution, there are enough places out there to go and learn. You can get certifications. I mean, I have certifications
Exactly.
at the wazoo because I'm taking classes, like the classes that I can sometimes teach, but I'm a lifelong learner. I don't ever want to stop learning and growing.
Yes, I agree. I agree. 100%. That is me as well.
Yeah.
So, what is a book or quote that has changed your life?
The cool, one of my favorite ones is like all around me in my office. There's just faith scriptures. It's like without faith, it's impossible to please God. But also, it's like with God, all things are possible. That's the one that
Mhm,
I remind myself of daily. With God, all things are possible because it
mhm.
doesn't matter what my mind says, what my checkbook says, whatever. With God, all things are possible. So that's the one that I stand on, that in terms of God can make the impossible possible. He makes the invisible visible. That's the God we serve. There's
Yeah.
nothing too hard for God. You just got
Yes.
to bring your faith to connect with him.
Yes. I agree. I agree. What do you know now that you wish that you knew 10 years ago?
I wish I started earlier. I wish
Ooh,
I
I
wish
like
I
that.
had stepped out of the boat earlier because I've always had a desire, and because I didn't fit because I was so vocal in the corporate world, and I worked in HR. And in HR, you have to tell. I worked in a lot of jobs, had a lot of jobs. Let me say that first. I had a lot of jobs. And so if I wasn't happy in the job, I was like a millennial. I was leaving the job, going someplace else. So I had a millennial mindset. But I worked as an HR professional, and I think that was good for me because I learned a lot. Because it was a very, very difficult organization I worked with, and I learned a lot. But I would tell people, start earlier. Begin to seek out what your purpose is earlier, and align yourself with people who are smarter than you. See,
Yes.
you want people that if you're the smartest one in your group, your tribe, your squad, you need to excel and you need to step out to find a bigger group because you want people in that group that will challenge you, that will say, no, 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 who are smarter than you, who see
Yeah.
and see that's what you want to be around. So I say, put people around you that are smarter than you. Get a mentor earlier. Get a coach.
Mhm.
I'm a coach. Get a coach earlier. If I had a coach earlier in my career, some of the mistakes I made, I would have made, but I didn't have a coach. I had a mentor, but the mentor is good, but a coach is somebody who is in another role. We will tell you stuff that the mentor might not tell you,
Right.
and we're
Right.
going to hold you accountable for the things you want to do. So would have loved to have had a coach earlier in my career. That would have been great if I had had one,
Good.
because
Yeah,
I
I think
navigated differently because I didn't know everything you think you don't say, which and then you said was at that point when I first moved to the South, I said I was very direct and assertive and didn't put sugar and spice on it. So it was like abrasive on top of that. So I tell people early in my career, I burned a lot of bridges because I would say the right thing, but it was with the wrong delivery method.
I like that. That's good.
So it's
That's
not
good.
what we say, it's how we say it. So I had the right words, but the delivery caused people not to receive what was being said. So when I work with a lot of people now, especially younger people, because I wrote a book about millennials and Zoomers. So I tell them, learn from me everything you think you don't say. Because once you put it out there, you don't know the impact that it's going to have on relationships, and everything that will happen in your career, business, otherwise will happen through a relationship.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. So good. So what's one thing that you are currently excited about?
Oh, what's one thing I'm excited about? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm excited about, I do Transforming Women Entrepreneurs every year in March, and we are celebrating our 18th year next March, and we're having it at the Chateau Elan. We're doing it
Ooh.
overnight,
Yeah.
this Thursday night, all day Friday, and then we're checking out on Saturday. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that because it's going to be. This year was off. It was just amazing this year, but next year I know because we're going there, it's going to be even. God is going to show in even a bigger way. So I'm excited about that. And then in September we're doing our first PT, Progressive Techniques and Transforming Women Entrepreneurs um, mixer at the Omni Hotel downtown. We're doing a mixer, and I'm launching a magazine that will be coming out. So that's going to take place in September. So I'm excited about that too.
That is really exciting. Well, congratulations. I'm so
So,
excited for that.
yeah, so those September is the one with the Progressive Techniques Incorporated and Transforming Women Entrepreneurs. Again, it's a mixture at the Omni, and it'll be on social media and everything, letting people know about it if they want to join us. But we're actually premiering a magazine as well.
Wow. Well, I'm so excited. I hope that I can definitely come and support like you always do. You do it big. I don't know if people know that about you, but you're not just doing it halfway. You always do it with excellence. So
But
that's
it's
wonderful.
God class. I said, we have to do it. It has to be God class. If it's not God class, I can't do it. My
Yeah.
father says, no, it's got to be God class. So I tell people, everything I do has to be, God has to, like, no, it's going to be tight and right. It's going to be God class.
Yes, I agree, and you do it in excellence, and you've proven that throughout the years
Praise God.
that you serve God in excellence, and that for people that are looking at you for an example, like you give us that example. Like if you're gonna do something, do it right and do it in excellence.
Yeah,
So I appreciate that about you for sure.
yeah.
So where can people connect with you or support your work?
They can connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn actively, and that's Nancy J. Lewis on LinkedIn. Dr. Nancy J. Lewis on LinkedIn. I'm out there. I do a Monday morning nugget every week, but I do a lot of other stuff. I'm on Instagram. It's Queen of Networking, but they can also reach me at my office at 770-964-5533, or they can go to my website, www.progressivetechniquesinc.com. That's www.progressivetechniquesinc.com. And email, of course, if you go there, you can email me there. But the email is nancy@progressivetechniquesinc.com. Or they can always reach out to you and find out how to reach me. But those are the ways they can find me.
Yes, of course. And if you have any additional questions for Dr. Nancy, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat when you see this video, and I will make sure that she gets those questions and she will hopefully be back on the podcast.
I
As
come back here, so I'm like, thank you, Nina, for Dr. Nina for getting me here. I'm like, wow, I get to be on Dr. Nina's show. I mean,
No, my consistency, that's what I'm working on this year. For the latter part of this year, I'm working on consistency because I can have good ideas, but it's the consistency part that's my struggle. So I'm trying to be better at that. So, what is one thing you like to say to the person listening who feels like it's too late for them?
I would just say, look in the mirror and said, I'm God's daughter, I'm God's son. It's never too late when God is in the plan. And just realize you're still here, so God has a purpose for you. If you're still here listening, talking, and you're here watching the video, the podcast, there is a purpose God has for you. Do not dismiss that. Because there's
Mhm.
something yet you have to do, something you have to fulfill. So realize that and say, Lord, show me what it is. I'm willing to do it. And when you say you're willing to do it, just realize you're putting it out there. God will give you, he'll give you what you ask for.
Yes, he
When he says,
will.
okay, give me, I want more, I want this, I want to do more for you. Okay, he'll give you an opportunity to do that. Make sure you pass the test when he does.
Yes, I love that. That's so good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, y'all, we are here Mondays at 8 p.m. You can always go to our website here below to view the video or listen to the video, but you can go to our social media platforms to view the video on YouTube, and we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. So hopefully you've been able to enjoy this podcast session with our Dr. Nancy. And we're just so excited for all the things that she's doing and all the things that she's a part of. I cannot wait to hear and see the magazine. Like, that is so exciting. And next year's conference at Chateau Hollande. Like, that's
Yeah. 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 You want to be, I mean, it's like it's going to be, God is just, I mean, the stuff that's happening even now is we're a few months, quite a few months out. But again, before you know it, we'll be in the fall, and we're going to be doing some stuff at the mixer to let people know about how they can begin to register for the conference and everything. And again, it's just, I tell you, it's a God event. And so God gets the glory for everything. And he's just shown up. This is our 18th year. And I tell people, I don't take that lightly. I
no,
don't, I
that
don't think that lightly at all. 18 years of doing a women's conference. I said, and then 7 years this November of doing my TV show, Conversations with Dr. Nancy J. Only God. I said, only God, because when I started, I was thinking, I'm going to do it for like a year, and then I'm going to be out here. I was like, it's now we're going into year 7, and God has truly paid for it. He's taken care of it.
that is a blessing. That's amazing. Well, we thank you so much for spending some time with us today and coming on. You've given us some really great nuggets to think about and to really just marinate on when it comes to it's never too late, and
That's one thing I want for your listening audience. It is never too late unless you say it's too late.
mhm,
With
mhm.
what God can do with you. You could be 90 and God can do with you what he wants to at 90 or 99. You see people now getting degrees at 90. It is never too late. You decide when it's too late. It's too late when you're in a box. Okay? If you're still breathing, if
Exactly.
you're still walking, if you're still talking, it's never too late. You just got to get your mind out of the way. And if it's stimulating your mind to say, I want to be a blessing. The question is, who can I be a blessing to today? Blessing
Yes.
to someone today. If you live with that, you wake up with purpose to want to be a blessing to someone at the grocery store, where it might be going to the cleaners, whatever it is. Look to see who can I be a blessing to today? Who can I pour into today with some wisdom that God has given me to help them live a better life?
Yes, that is so good. I love that. So, purpose unpacked, finding meaning in any stage. Today was the topic for our podcast. So we're so glad that you joined us, and we hope